But we were talking about this before the show. I said, we got to bring this up. Do you guys think Dan Snyder's watching these games? So we had a little argument. Danny, I don't think you were in here when we were talking about this. But a couple of the guys think that he is. I think, Clary, were you? You said you think Dan Snyder's watching these games, right? I would guarantee just about anything that he's not. I think it's too much pain for him. You had this thing essentially ripped out of your hands. Now, you could cause pain to me and hand me $6.2 billion, and I'll find a way to be okay with it.
A lot of pain I deal with there for that.
Like, I would sell you anything for $6.2 billion and go live on my yacht in the Netherlands or wherever he is right now. But I think this is a breakup where you're not going to be listening to the radio for a little while for fear that the song's going to come on that you guys liked that's still in heavy rotation. You're not going to just watch TV commercials because there's that one commercial that you both always used to laugh at. You can't be reminded of her. So I think you kind of lock in. You do think you find new hobbies. You get away from the things you shared together. And in this case, I think Dan Snyder is completely out on football. He's out on the NFL. He's out on this team. And his misery, just finding out, bumping into a newspaper clipping where the Commanders won. When he gets a text from someone saying those idiots are lucking their way all the way to the Super Bowl, whatever it is, he's seething. He's furious, but I think he's avoiding all content. There's 0% chance he watched the game against Detroit.
So we have known each other for 16 years, give or take.
And is it that long?
Yeah, right. Men 09.
We are old.
We're old people.
Yeah.
Here's something that I think you do from time to time. I think you're doing it right now. What you've just done is applied reason, logic, and how a normal person would behave to a situation, right? What you just said is very reasonable. Normal human beings feel what are called feelings. Normal human beings have things like resentment, remorse, upset. They have those things. When you have an unreasonable person and we ascribe reasonable feelings to them, we're going to be left disappointed every time. That twerp thinks he won. That twerp thinks he got over on all of us. I get $6 billion? All he's thinking about is his profit. He's watching. He can't help himself. He's addicted to it. He's got, in his mind, it's basically still his thing. He's so delusional. He's been naked for 2 decades, and everyone's telling him his clothes look great. He's been surrounded by sycophantic yes people that want to siphon and suckle at the great teat that is his wealth. He thinks this is his show, and these guys are just kind of lucky. He's watching. He's into it. He thinks it's him, and he's got $6 billion. He's watching. I guarantee it.
Danny, there's no way.
100%.
These guys are accomplishing the thing that he would have killed to accomplish.
He wouldn't have killed. He didn't care.
No, he would have killed. He would have done anything except the right things. Like,
if he wanted to win, he would have done something about it once in 20 years.
His obsession and his addiction with, he just can't get out of his own way.
Well, of course.
That's what he is and how he runs his stuff. But he would have done anything other than correctly operate to try to win. That was his whole bit.
In his mind, he's going, I would have drafted Jaden Daniels also. It'd have been fine. I drafted Terry McLaurin. He thinks he did it.
But you're arguing something completely different. I'm not saying that he'd be watching, admiring the job of the Harris ownership group going, wow, these guys really turned this thing around. What an amazing accomplishment.
Good for them.
He's, if watching, hate watching, and livid. And yes, of course, he's going to sit there and say, oh, they got lucky. I could have done the same thing if only I was still there after the name change. Or maybe, he's blaming it on the curse, not of himself, but of the name, right? So now it's the name Commanders that's doing this. But I'm telling you, there's nothing I wouldn't bet that he didn't watch 1 second of the game against the Lions. I almost would rather that he has to sit there and watch it, though. Like, that somebody just keeps turning his head toward the screen.
Right.
And every time he looks away to talk to a family member,
go Clockwork Orange style,
he's got to watch it again. Yeah. Let's bring in corporate Ryan Clary, who runs the corporation around these parts.
He's in charge of the corporate.
Yeah, very, very high up. Very important now that he took his job on the corporation. So, Ryan, you have to explain your logic to me that you think that he's watching these games. Because you and Danny apparently are in lockstep. I can't see it.
Yeah, honestly, Danny kind of took my explanation away from me because he got $7 or $6 billion, however many billions that he got from this organization with selling it. I don't really think he cares all too much. I think he kind of feels as if he won just because of all the money that he got. And also, he's a football fan. Like, the guy really, at least I don't think, has nothing else going for him. He's probably going to sit down and watch his former team.
He could watch Bills Ravens.
He could, but he also could watch Commanders Eagles.
Based on my premise, though, if you watch Bills Ravens, you're going to find out something. You're going to hear them talk about. Everyone's got that name. I don't know what your name is, Danny. I don't know what Dad's name is, but everyone has a name when they hear it. It's like a little stab to the stomach, right? Yep. For him, it's Commanders.
That is for me,
right?
Too.
That's his Danny Rie, Janine Sartwell, or whatever the name is, right? Everyone's got that one name. I'm telling you. I think he's got to avoid it at all costs. Dad, is Dan Snyder watching the NFC Championship game between the Commanders and the Eagles?
By the way, that name for me is Kelly Olynyk. Ugh, it hurts.
Okay, I think he missed my that name reference, but this is a sports.
No,
version
we're doing bits.
Yeah, sports version. No, I don't think he's invested at all. I honestly don't think he's watched 1 second of the team this year. I really think it probably, in a way, hurts him too much.
So he's with me.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's just no way he spent a minute looking at the Washington team play at all.
Daniel Descalso and Pete Cosmo. But I think, to me, that's how a normal person would behave and react. Again, I think you guys are underestimating how insulated and tyrannical this dictator was. They couldn't show him the actual finances. He had to have make-believe ones that to make him appeased and happy. You couldn't look him in the eye. So in his mind, his delusional, weird, warped, I don't feel guilty for any of it mind, where he thinks he was, he did the right thing at every step of the way. Probably has no regrets at any time. He thinks he won. He's so delusional, he thinks he won. He doesn't see the correlation that everybody sees, that getting rid of him is the best thing that could possibly happen. He doesn't see that he's gone, now they're good.
So that's
not how he thinks of it.
I will agree with you.
That's not what he thinks.
I bet you he does not realize that his absence is what made this whole thing possible.
That's right.
I think he views this as, oh my God, if I would have just held on for 2 more years.
They're doing this with my players, with my staff.
I would have gotten Daniels. Not that he would have picked him, but just that they would have had the second pick. And really, it wasn't, a huge decision necessarily, according to the, the people pre-draft. It was like going to be Williams, Daniels, May in that order. So you just kind of took the guy that fell to you. If we would have just gotten Daniels, me and my guys could be doing this right now. I definitely think he thinks that. I hope that wherever he's at this weekend, it's on his mind constantly. Because I don't think he's watching, but he knows they're playing. I think he keeps looking at the clock going, I'd be in my suite right now.
You can't help it.
I'd be there eating my meatballs, because he had that was his big thing, right?
Yeah, the meatballs out of the then Redskins crock pot.
Right. I'd be sitting there. Who would he be having back? He'd have Bruce back in his suite for the game.
Pre-lawsuit.
Bunch of his old buddies that have run people out of here left and right.
Again, pre-lawsuit.
Terribly. Oh. I hope he's miserable.
Well, I echo that one.
Just knowing that it couldn't have been him. That
he never got to.
He didn't get to do this.
And
by the way, it took them, Dan, 1 year.
A single full off season to undo your damage, loser.
1 year it took them. Unbelievable.
Can you imagine being that malevolent of a force? Like, can you imagine that you leave and it's so much better in every single way for every person in the employ, every building, every rug, every carpet, every surface, every room, everybody coming to work, is better off because you're not there. Can you imagine ever having that kind of impact negatively on people?
I'd like to hope that I will not have that impact on people.
Like, when I get canned, is everyone going to celebrate? Don't answer that, chat. But you know what I mean? Like, the idea that, like, okay, Danny's gone. Yes! Now we can take off.
Finally.
Now we're happy.
It's such a good bit.
You see what I mean?
It's so true. Like, if you're ever in a position where your departure will lead to a party of everyone being elated, you got to think about how you're living your life a little bit and maybe try to do it differently. It's like Scrooge or something.
Yes.
You know,
beginning of Ace Ventura 2, when they find him in the ashram and they just kick him out and then the place goes nuts. These guys are very solemn monks doing nothing but praying. When Ace Ventura leaves, they throw a party. Like, that's the deal. That's your Ace Ventura, Dan.
First off, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
You too, pal.